Good morning, Bix Weir, road.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. It's gone. It's gone crazy. It is happening. The Fed last night, today is the 24th. Last night on the 23rd, the Fed said we're doubling the amount of bank bailouts that happen every night. We're doubling it. We have a problem so big, we have to shock and awe the world so that the banks settle down. And it's not working. It is not working. They announced doubling, and it's still oversubscribed. That was not the plan. The plan all along was to grow the bubble as big as possible to destroy the system. And that's where we are now, 100%. Get your assets in your own possession. Let me give you the details, some of the details. Now, those of you on the private road, you know what I'm talking about, because last week I said they're going to have to do this, and I'll play that for you from the private road section. I said they're going to have to do it. They did it a couple days early compared to what Ruda was saying. It is shocking that I predicted this stuff in 2007. All from a comic book out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. What did Ruda write in the sand? 9/11. Back then, I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, why are they writing 9/11 in the sand? In a Federal Reserve comic book, a weird Fed comic book talking about the need to go back onto a gold standard from the Federal Reserve, and these big people behind the scenes who are going to crush the little people at the Fed. Crazy that this is all happening. Anyway, here's the announcement. This was posted, I don't know what time, but it was late at night on the East Coast. The Fed has changed. I got the old numbers right here. This is the schedule of overnights. They have changed. They have gone from on the 14-day or term repos, they've gone from $35 billion to at least $35 billion to look right here to $75 billion, from 35 to 75 billion. And hang on, wait a minute. Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, these are the Tuesday, Thursday bailouts. But then they add Fridays in there. They are in so much trouble right now. So much trouble. Hang on a second. Look at this. At least 75 billion. Yeah. And then it gets better. Overnight repos from 75 to 120 billion. I think that's what they're saying. 23rd, at least 75 billion. Hang on. 75 to 120 billion. Anyway, it is out of control, and look what happened on the first day. On the first day of repos, my true love gave to me $45 billion. $45 billion. And they said, right, we're going up to 75. It must be better. Look at the submitted. 62 billion. This is the term repo. The overnight is the big one. So basically 1.5, about 1.5x oversubscribed even after they blew it up. It is insane. They might have posted the overnight by now. Let me do a refresh. Not yet. I expect that one to be a big number. And here is the schedule. Now look at this. This is their schedule of what they're going to be looking at. Look at today. 45 billion they maxed out. Look at the overnight. 100 or billion. 120 billion would be the biggest ever, which is $165 billion to keep the system going day by day. And it's not going to stop until you hit $2 quadrillion. Obviously, the system will implode long before that. And I just want to say, and I'm going to play this for you. This is from the private road. I've been keeping an eye on this. Last week, I put my first timeline update since the September 11th, I had, and that was 7 different articles, 7 different talks on here's where we're going. And I gave that specific date a long time ago, like 6 months ago. And I do have a number in mind as well. And that number is $20 trillion I've been talking about for 2 years. They're going to come to Congress and ask for a $20 trillion bailout. That's when our chance is to say no. And it's coming a hell of a lot faster than you think. Listen to what I said about this, about literally this operation right here. The 45 billion and 120. I said they're going to have to do something big. I said it as the 28th or 29th, which was the Fed meeting. They did it before. They did it last night at probably midnight so that nobody knew about it except the banks on the inside. Now, this is right when Elizabeth Warren got her hooks into this repo thing. So they're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? We might be stopped when Elizabeth Warren gets our answers and everything goes crazy. We better move it up a couple days. And I think that's exactly what they did. Listen to what I said on the private road.
Okay. Right now we're at 248 billion. And here's this graph shows you where we were since September 11th when all this started. But remember, on September 11th is when it really kicked in, and it was the 12th and 13th. So that was a Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Behind the scenes, the banks are freaking out. On Monday, the overnight repo rate goes to 10%, and then the bailout from the Fed starts on the 7th, which was a Tuesday. Now, that coincides with everything on the road to Ruta. You go back to all my the 2 timeline articles plus the 5 updates. I mean, obviously, it's not all 100% correct, but it is all explained and it all makes sense. So go check that out. Now, here's what I want to do. The question is, how do we get from this linear graph? We see this is what has happened. These are growing. The overnights are growing. They're adding new stuff to the cumulative, to the purchases. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, as we can see here. The question is, when do we kick into overdrive? When do we kick into the exponential growth graph? So I did some projections. Now, these projections are based off, these are minimum, in my book, these are minimum projections because they've already announced this stuff and they're going to be adding some more stuff. Like I said, in this video, around the 28th or 29th is when they have to make that decision.
Yes, the crystal ball works again. I have been on fire as far as hitting days and numbers and everything. So we are moving into the exponential graph on the private road at Road to Ruta. All you private road members, keep watching every day. There's so much going on. I will be posting the updated charts and graphs today. It is insane. It is insane. If you want to join the Road to Ruta, go to roadtoruta.com, hit subscribe today, and you will be shipped one very token. It's going to be a monster. And the coolest coin ever made, the Ruta Silver coin, double stamp with luster. There's Ruta jumping up and down on the silver brick road, the cave of gold, massive amounts of gold in the Grand Canyon right here. Such a cool coin, each individually numbered. Join the private road and you're going to get access to all kinds of stuff. If not the private road, be a Patreon member. You get some of this stuff as well. And on leaving today, I want to play something from my good friend Jeff Berwick down in Mexico. Actually, I don't think he's just wandering all over these days. He doesn't know where he's living and staying. But him and Ed Bugos came up with a really interesting number that you will hear. If you've been on the Road to Ruta for the past couple of years, I've been saying 20 billion or 20 trillion is the number. 20 trillion is the number they're going to have to go to Congress for. I don't know why that number stuck out in my head, but Ed Bugos is a numbers guy, and he's kind of come to a number. Listen to Jeff and what he has to say about all this.
As he pointed out, it's going to end up in financial Armageddon because we're going to end up in hyperinflation. And that's when this thing really gets crazy. It's happening basically right now. This is the most that the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank have printed since 2008. The reason they printed that much in 2008 was to make it so the entire financial system didn't collapse. They've already started to do that. And this is just the beginning. At the Dollar Vigilante, Ed Bugos, our senior analyst, has roughly guessed that in order to keep the system from collapsing now, in the next few days, weeks, maybe months, I doubt a year or two at this point. I think months, weeks, maybe days, like we're that close. That's why I want to get the book out. He thinks in order just to keep it alive, they'll have to print about 10 times what they did in 2008. So we're talking not 1 or 2 trillion, which they're going to do easily. They're going, if they want to keep it alive, they're going to have to print 10, 20 trillion. Those are rough numbers. He has the exact numbers. Just subscribe to the Dollar Vigilante newsletter if you want to get all this information. Just go to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. But I'm going to try to have him on my show as soon as I can get settled somewhere for more than a day. So if they were to print up that amount, we're going very quickly into hyperinflation. And if you know anyone from Argentina or Zimbabwe or Venezuela, just ask anyone from Venezuela what it's like. It's bad. It's about the worst thing that can happen in an economy is hyperinflation.
Bravo, Jeff. Bravo. I do subscribe to the Dollar Vigilante. I love it. Anarchapulco is going on. I'm going to be speaking down there. I just talked to Jeff. I was definitely going. I didn't know if I was speaking. I will be speaking at the CryptoPoco side, and I will be playing music, and you got to get down to Anarchapulco. If you want to go to the Road to Ruta website and go to the, right at the top there, Anarchapulco tickets. Get your Anarchapulco tickets right there. And oh my God, it's going to be a big one this year. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, Jeff Bugos knows his shit when it comes to numbers. And he's coming up, inching up to the Road to Ruta prediction. And mine was just gut. My gut was it would take like a $20 trillion bailout because it took $700 billion back in 2008 to just kick the can down the road 11 years. 11, by the way. We're coming up to 11/11. That should scare the shit out of you. And that I talk about that date in my in the private road on the timeline articles. But definitely get your tickets to Anarchapulco. I'll be down there singing and speaking. And Jeff is an amazing guy doing an amazing thing. And obviously with the news from Chris Giancarlo of the CFTC that the U.S. government is the ones who popped the Bitcoin bubble on purpose, destroying the financial wherewithal of hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Are you kidding me? And he was bragging about it. Does he understand what the fuck he's doing? I'm going to be talking about that later, but I have a whole breakdown of what went on. And if you're a crypto, vindication for Cliff High, by the way. Complete vindication for Cliff High. Complete vindication for anybody in cryptos. Cliff High had it right until the U.S. government came down and said, oh, we have to stop the Bitcoin price from finding its fair market value. Where was Chris Giancarlo when he thought, oh, it's in a bubble, we have to take it down? Well, what about when it was too low and undervalued for years? Chris Giancarlo, did you have to buy it to bring it up to fair market value? This is so ridiculous when it comes to freedom and liberty in a market. Like I said, there is no such thing as a free market in the United States with regulators and government entities in it. That's why we have to destroy everything with the derivative bomb. That's why this whole repo thing is happening. This is the takedown of the global financial system. They have been doing it on purpose. On purpose. Hang on tight. It's getting ugly on the Road to Ruta. Talk to you later.